Welcome back to the channel, folks. We have got a peculiar situation going on here in America, and I think everybody needs to be aware of it because we got to figure out how this is going to go down. This will be, because it's unprecedented, this may change a lot of things involving these stupid rulings and injunctions by these left-wing judges that are trying to stop Trump from doing his job, including the deporting of everyone that doesn't belong here by the DHS. Now, we know there's all kinds of injunctions and left-wing judges doing their best to slow things down, coagulate things in the court. Well, Stephen Miller, being Trump's chief political advisor when it comes to policy over immigration, he's the expert. He's the one that writes a lot of these executive orders and bills, and has since the beginning of Trump's presidency back in 2016. So I believe this guy's more in the know than anybody. But he comes out and he says, tomorrow, this judge that defied the Supreme Court will be held accountable. Hopefully so. Now, I don't know what held accountable means. I guess I'm going to have to Google Siri or ask Siri how much trouble can you get for defying a Supreme Court ruling? Because what happened was this judge tried to stop Trump, as usual, like these lefties do. And the Supreme Court ruled against him 6-3 on Monday. And this judge says, in my district, we're not going to listen to the Supreme Court. Well, Stephen Miller says there will be repercussions. Let me go ahead and read you a little bit of it. It says, U.S. District Judge Brian Murphy, appointed by Biden, of course, in 2021, declared Monday evening that his May 21st ruling, which blocks the deportation of violent, illegal aliens to third countries, remains in full effect even after the nation's highest court ruled against him in a decisive 6-3 vote. I think what they want to do is they want to send them to that El Salvador prison, and some of them may not be from El Salvador, which is kind of irrelevant to us what country they're from as long as we get them out of here. But if they have broken the law and they need to be locked up for it, we can go on and send them to El Salvador, and as far as them getting a ride home when they get out, that's their business. That's the problem they're having here, because they're trying to stop it on every leg of this thing. But like I said, the Supreme Court ruled decisively 6-3 in Trump's favor. The Supreme Court had just cleared the way and for the administration to resume lawful deportations of illegals from several countries that we weren't allowed to deport to at this point, including people from Laos, Vietnam, Cuba, and South Sudan. The justice granted an emergency application by the Trump administration, pausing Murphy's radical order. Only the court's three most liberal justices, Sotomayor, Kagan, and Jackson, dissented. The three crazy ladies in the court. Yet Murphy cited Sotomayor's dissent to claim his ruling stands. So this guy says, well, what Sotomayor said is the one I'm going to listen to, not the other 8. Or at least 6 of the 9. Says a court order remedy remains in full force and effect. Nonetheless, today's stay of the preliminary injunction that mandates keeps the dangerous criminals, including 8 offenders at Camp Lemonnier, Djibouti, from being removed. Wow, Djibouti. That's a wild name. So it looks like we won on this one, but this judge trying to be defiant, I guess, in their particular district, is not going to work out too well for them, and I'm curious as to what the actual consequences you can get for defying the Supreme Court. It says, what the F? An activist judge in Boston decided the Supreme Court ruling by Trump to deport illegals to third countries like Sudan doesn't apply to them? Yep, we got to solve this problem immediately. Otherwise, if that's allowed to happen, then the Supreme Court will become basically neutered and useless if they allow this to happen even one time. So here we go.
Yes, this is an incredible victory, the Supreme Court win. It allows President Trump, as the law has long said, but the courts have blocked, it allows President Trump to send illegal aliens convicted of rape, murder, homicide, assault, battery, crimes against children to any country around the world that is willing to accept them. So whether that be South Sudan, or whether it be Somalia, or whether it be Ethiopia, any country in the world that is willing to accept these monsters, we can get them out of our country and be free of them forever. The only thing I have to share tonight, Sean, in a little bit of breaking news, is that the district court judge in Boston has said he's going to defy the Supreme Court's ruling. So expect fireworks tomorrow when we hold this judge accountable for refusing to obey the Supreme Court.
I am hoping for the fireworks. We're going to hold this judge accountable. Is he talking about bringing him before Congress? I hope not. I hope they bring charges up against him. No, it's probably a Senate hearing is as good as we're going to get on that one. But hopefully, if you can prove some criminality, some obstruction, I would say it would be time to reevaluate their legal standing, including maybe their law license, revoking their bar license. That would be easy enough to kill their career. It says, last night, hours after Supreme Court 6-3 blocked, Last night, hours after Supreme Court 6-3 blocked a Boston district judge's lawless preliminary injunction preventing the government from removing the worst of the worst illegals to third countries, the district judge announced that business as usual and said its orders enforcing the injunction remained in effect when a single district judge immediately and flagrantly defies the Supreme Court. That is not the rule of law. It's the Article 3 insurrection. And I thought that's absolutely true. I mean, that's probably the best way to put it. Trying to overthrow the power of the Supreme Court through the judiciary, through one pissant judge. It's madness, folks. Says, let's see here. Now here's another great clip by Stephen Miller. It says, everyone said who was a critic of this nation that it would lead to World War III. Yeah, we heard the old fear-mongering, the people throwing a fit that Trump was going to get involved in the Iranian war. We even heard people like Tucker Carlson throwing a fit about it. Several of the right-wing pundits that are out here, a lot of these podcasters, were just screaming at the top of their lungs, no, Trump, don't help Israel do nothing, don't get involved. And now, for the most part, we believe, 99% of us believe, even a lot of the Democrats, that was probably the best answer available, taking out their ability to build nukes. I'm talking about Iran. I would take advantage of that opportunity as well. If you can drop a bomb in there and kill 10 years worth of research in 25 minutes, I'm okay with that, because that is where the world needs to be. We don't have to hear Iran threaten us with nukes anymore. Not just us, but the rest of the world as well. So that's a clear win. But Stephen Miller's got a little something to say about that as well. Nobody says it like Stephen. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Like I said, he was on the Hannity show.
Let's just take a moment to think about how historic this moment is and what President Trump has achieved in this 12-day war. Presidents going back to Bill Clinton have said it is the policy of the U.S. government not to allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. But under every president except Trump, Iran marched closer and closer to being able to put onto a ballistic missile a nuclear warhead that could take out an entire city. That has been the direction Iran has been going in year after year. President Trump took action flawlessly through the United States military to obliterate Iran's nuclear sites and to stop them through the use of military force from having a nuclear weapon. It was a bold, courageous action, and it happened without a single leak, without a single solitary service member losing their life. Everyone said, who was a critic of this action, that it would lead to World War III, and instead we have a ceasefire, and instead we have the beginnings of a new era of stability and peace and security in the Middle East. President Trump, once again, has demonstrated that he alone has the wisdom, the judgment, the strength, and the courage to see this nation through the most dangerous challenges we face around the world, Sean.
And I am worried about the ceasefire, it going back and forth, and people shooting at each other, and Trump getting pissed off and dropping the F-bomb today about it. He's like, I'm doing all I can. Y'all need to straighten up, children. Even Israel, he said he was mad at Israel as well. And so maybe Israel needs to take heed that they buy their Iron Dome missile defense rockets from us, along with a lot of other military hardware, And if they want to continue to have our support, not just being on their working with them, but also being doing business with them, they need to straighten up, because we've been out here trying to help Israel since the beginning, with the exception of Joe Biden. The Republican Party has always tried to help Israel, and I believe this dropping these bombs on Iran has probably helped Israel more than Israel and a lot of those countries around Iran, more than we'll ever be able to know, just because there's a huge threat that is now off of their back, off their shoulder. They're not having to look over their shoulder over nuclear weapons being fired at them from the country next door anymore. At best, rockets, which that's not much better, but it is definitely a better standing. Now, speaking of Tucker Carlson, I thought this was a crazy video. Now, everybody knows that when Tucker Carlson got fired from Fox behind the Dominion voting machine, $300 and something billion, whatever, some crazy number, billions of dollars they sued Fox for, and they turned on Trump. And so Rupert Murdoch, who owns Fox, turned on Trump. Bongino quit. Tucker Carlson got fired. Megyn Kelly, I believe, got fired. Several people got fired in just a pretty short amount of time. And it was pretty significant, because what was happening was the 2020 election was stolen, and people were still talking about it. People were still defying the status quo of what Fox was wanting to pump out there. And Fox at one time was a conservative news source, but somewhere down the way, Rupert Murdoch learned to hate Trump. And I think maybe even because of the way the election went, and because Fox got sued for all that money by Dominion over things that over questions Tucker was asking. Not allowed to ask questions, get sued over it. But that's what was really going on. But in lieu of that, we're now finding out that as much as they hated Tucker for not hating Trump, and for calling it like he sees it, whether he's right or wrong, because he's wrong sometimes. But while they were firing him, or after they fired him, I guess they decided maybe you're the only conservative personality out there that could beat Trump. And so what do? They offer to push him to run in 2024. And this is way back when. A couple of years ago, they were scared Trump was going to run in 2024, even way back then. So let's go ahead and listen to this. This is just a piece of it. The entire conversation is over on the Tucker Carlson Network and over on Redacted. If you don't know the channel, that's who is interviewing him here. It's another great YouTube channel.
The Murdochs really hate Trump. There's no one who hates Trump more than the Murdochs. I got fired in April of 2023. In May of 2023, they asked me to run for president against Trump and said they would back me. Obviously, I'm not running for any, I would never get elected any. Plus, I like Trump. I mean, that's the funny thing is I actually genuinely, I get frustrated. I'm frustrated now.
So hold on. I'm sorry.
Trump.
You just said that, and they asked you to run for president against Trump, the Murdochs.
Yeah. Lachlan Murdoch said, you should run for president. We'll back you. The whole thing, the whole
Fox News apparatus.
And not just Fox, but, Wall Street Journal.
All of their papers, everything.
So they all got together, all the news organizations that knew that if Trump got back in there, their life was going to be a little more miserable, because Trump may get some of his justice for some of these folks. These folks have lied on him for years and years, and I think a lot of them not just hated Trump, but fear repercussions of Trump coming back. So they thought, we'll put up recently fired Tucker Carlson, and we'll throw that offer at him, see if we can get him to stand up. We'll carpet bomb the media, but Tucker's better than Trump. Come on, man.
Absolutely, yeah, we'll back you.
And that came right from.
You should do that. I was already gone. They'd already canceled my show. I was still under contract, but they canceled my show. You should run. We support you. You should run.
We want to stop Trump.
Yeah, well, he was running.
And there's a little more to that video if you want to go check it out. Like I said, Tucker Carlson Network or Redacted both have the full version of the interview. Of Crazy, crazy stuff. So the Murdochs hate Trump so much they were willing to take the guy that ended up getting them sued over Dominion and was willing to run him as president. Well, that would all fell apart the first time Tucker tried to run for president and somebody asked him about Dominion and Fox and getting fired behind discussing election irregularities. That wouldn't have went too well. That would have been a cluster pluck. But at any rate, I just thought I'd bring that to y'all. That is definitely eye-opening, crazy crap. And now, how true is that? It's probably true. I don't think Tucker lies. I just think he's misguided at times. I like Tucker for the most part, but like him screaming about Trump's and getting involved in the Iran war, he thought it was going to be some long, drawn-out war. Sit back, drink your coffee, let Trump do what he does. He seems to be doing good so far. Most of the time, things work out for the best. And it's because Trump has the grit and the determination and the insight from all the communications that he's getting about what's going on. People like Tucker Carlson and me and anybody here that's got a microphone in their hand, all we've got is an opinion with what we've learned from listening to other people's opinions. Because what's really going on behind the scenes, we don't know. We don't know why we waited to drop the bombs this week versus last week or last month. We don't know if the enriched uranium was hauled out of there in trucks and sent to China 2 weeks ago. We don't know, but we do know that the threat of we're going to blow your stuff up come from Israel and the United States for months now. And so it would not surprise me if 90% of their enriched uranium left the bunker before it went up in flames or turned into a pile of rubble, however you want to call it. But I do believe that centrifuge center is not in working condition anymore. I think it's broken. It's FUBAR. I have to believe that. Now, folks, we have got one more drop of good news now that we are worried about Iranian nationals in the country. Not that we wasn't before, but now we are on a little bit more heightened alert. Kristi Noem put out a heightened alert telling people keep their head on a swivel. And if you see something, say something. As a matter of fact, one of the reasons I'm bringing you this article is because you can report crimes and suspicious activity by calling 866 DHS to ICE. 866-347-2423 or completing the online tip form. Now, I'm telling you this because if you run into a Mohammed Akbar Al-Habib, not necessarily the guy running your local gas station, but if you know any of these people that are in this country illegally, especially from a country like Iran, probably wouldn't be a bad idea to let somebody know. And if you know anybody in this country that is hates America, you see them online hating America, screaming death to America, Allah Akbar, or whatever it is they scream over here on Twitter, I'd be putting them out there on blast. I'm going to be doing it over on Twitter every chance I get, just because now that ICE is in the round up the Iranian illegals, criminals, and terrorists that are here in our country, obviously snuck in through the front door under Biden's watch, we now have to step up the getting these Iranian nationals out. And it looks like they're doing it. In less than 24 hours, U.S. and Immigration Customs Enforcement, ICE, arrested 11 Iranian nationals found to be living in the country illegally, including individuals suspected of terrorist ties with significant criminal histories. These individuals were apprehended from 8 different states: Minnesota, Mississippi, Alabama, California, New York, Colorado, and Texas. According to DHS, the detainees include a former member of the Iranian Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, a convicted Iranian army sniper, not good, and at least one individual with confirmed Hezbollah affiliations. Yeah, you need to snatch these people up and get them off our streets. These are the sleeper cell cohorts, I'm sure. One high-profile arrest occurred in St. Paul, Minnesota, where ICE took in custody Mehran Makari Sahali, a 56-year-old ex IRGC member linked to Hezbollah with a prior firearm conviction. In northern Alabama, agents arrested Ribbar Karimi, identified as a former Iranian army sniper, on a K-1 Beyonce visa. Entered on a K-1 Beyonce visa. Oh, that means he's going to marry somebody to get in the country. Yeah, that needs to be looked into as well. That is probably going on more than people know. People paying people to marry somebody long enough to give them citizenship, get them in the country. Got to stay married for X amount of time. You get the divorce, somebody gets a payoff, and this guy now lives here forever. This is in northern Alabama. Agents arrested. I already read that. 5 of those detained carrying records of serious offenses, including drug possession, grand larceny, firearm charges, underscoring ongoing concerns about repeat offenders overstaying visas and exploiting payroll pathways. Notably, Yusef Maharidi Dehano, living illegally for nearly 8 years and placed on the terrorist watch list in February, was apprehended in Mississippi as well. They tag and bagged him, folks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They got him a woman, too. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 of them, folks. That's good news. That's a start. That's a little start, but maybe they will get a little better about figuring out how to find these people. I don't know what the trick is. Maybe there's a website they all frequent. Who knows? But there's definitely ways to find out about these sleeper cells in our country, and they need to get on it immediately. They need to be checking everybody in this country's visa status. If you're here in a college and you're on a visa status, or you're here on some kind of work visa, or some kind of migrant program, we need to understand where you came from, why you're here, who you really are, and what are your intentions as you hope to be an American, while we find out if you deserve to still be here or not. Need to go through as quick as they can, get as many people out as they can, and F these judges that don't want to listen to the Supreme Court. Maybe this judge will find, maybe something will happen that'll teach all the rest of these judges that you can't defy the Supreme Court. And I hope that's what's coming down the pike. It seems like that's the common sense answer. But who really knows in this crazy, wacky world we live in, with the lawfare and the left-wing nutbags running a good portion of the country, even under Trump's presidency. It is what it is. That's what I got for you today, folks. Hopefully everybody enjoyed. Like, subscribe, and share. Over and out.